I learned what real disrespect looks like the night I lifted a folded napkin off a plate and saw fresh blood underneath it, like someone had saved it for the exact moment I arrived. The dining room kept roaring, but inside my head everything went silent. If it was a prank, it was cruel. If it was not, it was worse. And the people at that booth were watching my face like they were waiting for a punchline. The first clue was the way the woman snapped her fingers without looking up. She said she did not like how I walked, like my pace insulted her. Her friends laughed too loudly, too coordinated. When I asked what they were celebrating, the man at the end said they were celebrating getting what they deserved. Then he looked at my name tag as if he was memorizing it. The second clue was the order designed to fail. They wanted steak extra rare but with no red. They wanted fish well done but still silky. They wanted bread gluten-free that tasted exactly like ours. Every time I repeated it back, they corrected me with a smirk, like the point was to make me sound wrong. The woman tilted her phone under the menu and asked me to say it again slower. The third clue was the performance. They waved me over every few minutes for a new demand. More ice, but not cold. A new fork because the fork looked dirty. A different table because the lighting was disrespectful. When I offered solutions, they rejected them instantly, like refusal was the real meal. Then the trap snapped shut. I set down an appetizer and the man lifted the plate like evidence. He said something hard was in his food. He pinched up a tiny shard of glass between his fingers. He did not look shocked. He looked satisfied. The woman's phone shifted, and I realized it had been recording the whole time. The moment I reached for the plate, she raised her voice. She said if I touched anything, I was destroying proof. She said she would post the video tonight and ruin us. I kept my hands open and asked if anyone was hurt. That is when she unfolded the napkin and showed me the blood again, slow and deliberate, as if she needed the room to see it. When my manager came out, the table got calm in a way that felt practiced. The man said they would accept a full refund, gift cards, and an apology from the chef on camera. He said they were doing us a favor by not calling the health department. While he talked, I noticed the blood was on the outside of the napkin, where you would place it if you wanted it seen. When I offered to call medical help and write an incident report, their faces tightened. The woman said no ambulance, no paperwork, just compensation. The man leaned in and said they were coming back next weekend to see if we learned our lesson. I wrote their reservation details after they left. The bartender leaned close and told me the club next door had warned them about that same group. They did this for fun. They did it everywhere. And if we thought it was finished, we were about to learn how far they were willing to push it. The next Friday began with a sentence that made my mouth go dry. The host whispered that a party had arrived asking for me by name, even though I never gave it to them. I looked toward the entrance and saw the same woman from last week smiling like we were friends, her phone already in her hand. They did not sit like normal guests. They rearranged the room, swapped seats twice, demanded a different server, then demanded me again. They kept repeating the word policy like it was a joke. The man said rules were flexible for people who spend money. Their order stayed just out of reach. The woman demanded a substitution, then said she never asked for it. The man wanted the sauce on the side, then complained it was not on the plate. Each return came with a calm voice and a sharp smile. The phone stayed on the table, angled to catch my face whenever I spoke. The threat arrived as soon as the dining room filled up. The woman leaned forward and said she had a following, and one post from her could kill a business. The man added a fake connection to the owner, the kind people use when they want you to flinch. I did not flinch. I just asked them to lower their voices so we could fix the problem. Then they tried to force a reaction. They ordered expensive cocktails, took 2 sips, and said they tasted like chemicals. They demanded new ones, then said the new ones were worse. They asked for the manager, then refused to speak to him, insisting only I could fix it because I was the one on camera. Their words stayed polite, but their eyes were hunting. The scam surfaced at the check. They asked to split it into separate payments, then changed their minds after cards were already run. They claimed charges were wrong, then demanded a full comp for the confusion. When my manager offered to reprint everything and go line by line, the man said no. The only fair solution was to erase it. A stranger at the bar finally gave us the missing context. He said he ran a restaurant nearby and recognized them. He said they filmed staff reactions, filed chargebacks, then posted 1-star videos when the business resisted. He said they were not here for food. They were here for leverage. When I heard that, something in me steadied. I told my manager to save camera timestamps and print the ticket history. The woman noticed the shift and narrowed her eyes. She said we were making a mistake. The man said people who embarrass them pay for it. Right then, the woman stood up and announced that we had poisoned her. The room froze. My manager raised one hand and said we were calling medical help and documenting everything. The woman's smile vanished, and for the first time all night, she looked uncertain. I knew they were not done. If intimidation failed, they would try something bigger, at the loudest moment, when our attention was thinnest. The worst part was how quiet the man got when he realized we were not giving in. He stood with the check in his hand and asked if I recognized my own face on his screen. He had been clipping moments all night, waiting for one bad line to turn into a headline. The escalation came disguised as confidence. The woman walked toward the service hallway, past the sign that staff only, and said she needed to speak to the chef directly. When I stepped in front of her, she said I was blocking her because we had something to hide. Nearby tables started turning, pulled toward the noise. The accusation landed like a grenade. The man raised his voice and said we had overcharged them on purpose. He said we were running a scam and pocketing cash. Then he said items were missing from his wallet and stared at me as he said it, like he wanted the room to make the jump. My hands went cold, but my voice stayed even. I told him we were pausing service to that table and documenting the claim properly. The turning point was a boring piece of paper. My manager placed a reprinted itemized ticket on the table and said we would review every charge out loud. He pointed to the timestamps, each item rung in, each return, each comp request, each void. He said our system tracked everything, and our cameras did too. The man's eyes flicked toward the ceiling for the first time. The lie cracked when we offered what honest people accept. My manager said we would call medical help for the poisoning claim and law enforcement for the theft claim, and we would provide footage to both. The woman started talking faster, changing her story mid-sentence. She said she did not mean poisoned. The man said he did not say theft. He said misunderstanding. He tried to laugh, but it sounded thin. The final move was simple. No more debate. My manager told them they could pay the accurate total, or we would treat it as a refusal to pay and handle it accordingly. He said they were banned from the property. He said it calmly, like reading the weather report. They paid, but they did it like people pay when they want to hurt you. The man said he would make us famous. The woman said she would ruin my career with one edit. I watched the receipt print and kept it in my hand like a shield, because on it were the timestamps and the proof that they were the ones changing the story. After they left, the room finally exhaled. I walked to the back and realized my hands were shaking. Not from fear of them, but from how close we came to losing control of the night. I still work restaurants. I still smile and keep my voice steady. But whenever someone sets a phone on the table face down and asks me to repeat myself slowly, I watch my corners.